what's up guys, Jack here from Magpie. We're going to be doing my top 5 albums of the year from 2016. 2016 was an absolute banger of a year in terms of music. We had so many good albums, but not only from like the established bands, but from younger bands as well. Debut albums, just young bands in general, just really rising up to the challenging those big bands. 4 of my 5 bands are less than 5 years old. So without further ado, let's get into these rages that are my top 5 albums of the year. So kicking things off with a bang, number 5, Pup, The Dream Is Over. The title of the album really encapsulates what the lead singer was going through. He was told that he wasn't going to be able to sing again due to a throat condition. I'm not sure of the details about it, but basically he was told that he won't be able to sing again, he won't be able to tour again, and obviously they've completely smashed that out of the water. They toured consistently and constantly actually for the whole of 2016, I think doing over 300 shows, which is incredible really when you think about it. Now when I first listened to this album, the first song, If This Tour Doesn't Kill You, sort of starts off, it's a bit slow, and you're like thinking, oh, what's this? Is this another like generic album, you know, punk album, not really that great. But then it kicks in and kicks straight into DVP, which is an absolute storm of a track. It just races through, energy's at the max, and it's just like a real like renaissance of punk, I think, at the moment in the US, in the UK. It's really coming back in a big way. Some bands really getting some momentum, and Pup really encapsulate what that is all about. Some other standout tracks, like I said, the first 2, If Tour Doesn't Kill You and DVP, but we've also got some slow songs like Sleep in Heat, but then we've got Old Wounds, which it goes straight into. It's like a hardcore track, it's great. And then we've got Familiar Patterns, which is my song of 2016, I think. It's a huge single on chorus, a really catchy bass line at the start, like where it comes in, doo, 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 doo. It's just great. What I will say about these 5 albums as well, they're all interchangeable. So 5 could have been 1, 1 could have been 5, 3 could have been 4, 4 could have been 2. It literally, it was that close, that great. And to get it down to these top 5 was just, it was killing me, to be honest. There's so many great albums this year. But yeah, let's get into my number 4. So yeah, my number 4 is Trophy Eyes, Chemical Miracle. It's an absolute stormer of an album. It's been a really bad year for pop punk in my opinion. You've got a couple of bands, Trash Boat managed to do something, Weather State did something with their EP, but in terms of pop punk, it's really not been that good. Trophy Eyes have been considered a pop punk band, but they're really more towards melodic hardcore, and now with this album they've branched out into some more mellow, some more emo kind of tracks that's like really gaining momentum as well. Trophy Eyes did a little documentary once they released the album, going through the writing process, what they were going through, how they wanted the album to turn out, how it did turn out, all their thoughts and opinions and all that sort of thing. And basically they wanted to write an instant classic. They were listening to stuff like Red Hot Chili Peppers and those types of albums that were just like huge, massive albums for that band. And it feels as if it is the same for Trophy Eyes. They had Men Move On and they said it was rushed. They didn't really know what they were doing, but this album, Chemical Miracle, was really a step up for them. It really, they really wanted to make something that they all loved, they all put their heart into. And that's really what they've come out with. Something that's really intimate, something that's really emotional, something that's really hard hitting, and it's just full of energy as well at times, with stuff like Rain on Me. And then you've got slow tracks like Daydreamer, Suicide Pact. You've got the big singles of Chlorine and Breathe You In, which are also huge. And I feel as if they've just changed their sound in such a unique way for a band from that genre, from that scene. And they've really changed and adapted and evolved their sound, which is something that I can only applaud for. It's a fantastic album. Really go listen to it. If you want to see some more details about the album, want to delve a bit deeper, make sure you check out my review on it that I did when it first came out a few months ago. That's also on the channel, so keep an eye out for that. I think we'll have the link in the description for that. But yeah, that was my number 4, and let's get into my number 3. So moving into the top 3 now, we've got Architects with All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us. What a rager this is. So Architects have really stepped things up on this album. They've moved to the next tier in terms of the progression as a band, and to be honest, they've become as a blueprint for alternative music and heavy music in general, especially in the UK. You've got band like Biffy Clyro, who are also that blueprint as well, who've literally just made it up through the festival bills, through the venues and that sort of thing in terms of popularity. And Architects have done the same. They're sold out their last tour, which is incredible. And yeah, they've just been an example for the rest of the scene and for the rest of the music industry, really, that you can make it. They've had 3 or 4 albums which are fantastic, and All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us, literally, you've got Lost Together, Lost Forever, All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us, that next step, that evolution, that next big thing for them. And it's just a blow to their momentum about, Tom Searle, his passing. It's just a blow to their momentum, which is such a shame because they literally could make it to the top of the bill in the next 5 years, I would have said, to be honest with you. But the album itself is fantastic. You kick off with Nihilist, and it's just a blow to the sledgehammer to the face, really. It's just fantastic. It's so fast, so energetic, just gets you right in there. And it's a perfect opener for their live set as well, which we saw back in November. It was fantastic. And then you've got the singles such as Match Made in Heaven, Gone with the Wind as well, is a fantastic track. Again, that sort of the slower but as intense, as heavy as Architects go. And then you've got the last track on the album, Memento Mori, which is just this epic track. And it's sort of like, I feel as if it's like sort of, you get tracks compared to like Bohemian Rhapsody, but it's like the metal Bohemian Rhapsody. It's that sort of really slow, intense, and just, it's about 7 or 8 minutes long, which is a very long track for Architects. They're not really used to doing that thing. They're used to going straight through breakdowns, blares and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a really fantastic album, really fantastic track. And as I said, this could have easily been number 1 on, ask me next week, it's probably number 1. Last week it was probably number 5. It's just, this list is so interchangeable for me. So clocking in at number 2, we've got Black Peak's Statues. A debut album, a British band, a heavy band. What a year it has been for them. They've really got the backing of the industry. They've really got the backing of fans as well. They're still only playing clubs. That's the last tour that they were on with Heck. They're still playing clubs and smaller venues. But my God, what potential this band has. On a debut album, they've absolutely smashed it. Sounding like the likes of Deftones, Tool, Mastodon, Biffy Clyro. Just absolutely epic. A superb band, superb album. Where can this band go from here? A debut album as good as this, and the sky's the limit with them. It's fantastic. They could go wherever they want with this, and I just hope that they just go up. You've got tracks like Glass Built Castles, which is like the most typical song on the album, and it's still fantastic. But to say it's the most typical song on the album, and the rest of the album is so challenging, complex, it's just fantastic. It's something I've never listened to before, to be honest with you. Deftones, it just really reminds me of that, with the heaviness of the vocals, with the tying in with the great vocalist that Will is on this album. He ties it in with singing as well as screaming, and I think it's fantastic. Epic choruses, epic guitar solos, and epic breakdowns, and the drumming as well is complex. It's big, but then it goes down into like the little ride and some blast beats and that sort of thing. It's just all over the place, but so coherent at the same time. That's what I don't get, is that this album shouldn't work. It shouldn't. It's got all these different aspects. They could be absolutely massive. I know it. You've got songs like Glass Built Castles, as I said, Hang 'em High, Saviour, Set in Stone. These are just fantastic songs, fantastic album. So number 1, Milk Teeth, Vile Child. This album is bloody fantastic. I just cannot get over how good this album is. I got into them late 2015, realised that they had an album coming out in January, and I was like, I'm getting on this band. I'm going to be on board from day one, basically, from a debut album perspective as well. A female-fronted punk grunge band. You got the likes of Nirvana, Mudhoney, those sorts of bands, those like 90s bands, which I've noticed this year as well. Just a little side note, we've got a lot of 90s influenced bands coming through, and 2016 has really, brought a bit of revival about that sort of like, 90s grunge, emo sort of stuff, which is fantastic. And no one encapsulates this more than Milk Teeth. The guitarist who has the screamy sort of shouty vocals on there has left the band. Pretty much when the album came out, they said that he left because of musical differences. But they got in Billy Hutton, formerly of Hindsight, which is a fantastic fit. He is a talent as well. If you haven't listened to Hindsight, make sure you check him out as well. But Milk Teeth have really come on as a band this year. Obviously with the album coming out, they've played with some big names including Against Me, and yeah, they can only go strength to strength from here as well. They won't be releasing an album next year obviously, but they'll be touring the fuck out of it, which is fantastic. And they're on tour with Creeper, which is fantastic tour again. So the album itself, it kicks off with Brickwork, and you've got songs like Brain Food, Driveway Birthday, Swear Jar, Get a Clue, Moon Wanderer, Sun Baby at the end is a nice track to end it all on as well. It's just track after track after track. These grungy punk influences, but also these poppy, catchy hooks as well, which is just fantastic to listen to. It's so fun, but interesting at the same time, which is what made Milk Teeth so great. And then you've got this song called Kabuki. Just Becky, the lead singer, with a guitar, acoustic guitar, plays this song, and it really opens up about what Milk Teeth are and what Becky is as well. This really talented front woman in this band. She's just fantastic. I cannot give her enough props. Her performance on this album is great. Milk Teeth, my band of the year, my album of the year. What more could you want? I'd like to give out some honourable mentions as well, because this has been a great year for music. The other guys as well will be chipping in with their top 5 albums of the year, so look out for that. These albums might appear on there, but if they don't, here's some albums to check out as well. We've got Weezer with their comeback this year on the White Album, the self-titled album. We've got Blink-182 with their album California, A Day to Remember, Bad Vibrations. Deftones, Gore, fantastic album, didn't make the list. We've got some younger bands as well, The Dirty Nil, Higher Power, fantastic album. We've got Modern Baseball, Holy Ghost, another fantastic album. These albums could be a top 5 on its own, and I would be happy, but the quality of music this year has just been fantastic, and I feel as if 2017 is going to be the same. It feels as if momentum's carrying through. We've got some great bands coming up. Make sure you stick around for our 2017 preview. So that's been it, guys. 1 year, 5 albums, Milk Teeth, Vile Child #1. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on my albums? Are they any good? Do you like them? Or let me know what your albums are. I'm interested to see what you guys are listening to, what you guys jamming to, especially throughout the whole year. There's some big albums, some big shouts. So I'm interested to see what you think. Drop a comment down below. Also, give this video a like. Share it around as well, be fantastic. Also, check us out on social media. We've got Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, constantly uploading over there. So if you want to keep up to date, make sure you like us on there. I've been Jack from Magpie, and I'll see you in the next one.